But yeah, we're ready. So 30 minutes. I don't do longer than 30 minutes. I'll ask a lot of questions, but it's similar to ours. It'll be a back and forth, but I'm really listening for, just what your journey is, right?
Okay.
And share about whatever you want. At the
Mhm.
end, I will, ask you to share how people can connect with you. And in the very beginning, I like you to introduce yourself because I think
Okay.
it's
I know. I was like, oh
really,
my God, let me watch some of her podcasts so I can.
you just really, I mean, how do you want people to know you, right? How do you want to introduce yourself? And
Yeah, I know. I was like thinking about it and I was writing it down, but then I was getting nervous and I'm like, oh my God, I can't think about this too much.
no, you can't, right? So the dope is divine, on point, prosperous, and evolving. So just
Mhm.
the questions will kind of form around those four concepts,
Yep.
and just be your authentic self, right? Just, you know, how,
I can only
yeah,
be me and not the avatar anymore. So
yeah, like prosperity, right? To me, what's amazing, your journey is how you went from like, the work that you were doing, you were like, screw it, I'm gonna just do this Airbnb. Like that, to me, that would free somebody who's just so
yeah,
trapped
yeah,
in what they believe prosperity looks like and has to look like.
yeah. I'm probably gonna get nervous and get stuck. So feel free to like throw things in that you know about me because I'm gonna be like, I don't know.
You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be
Tables are turned.
The tables are turned, but this
Tables
is
are
fun.
turned.
And then at the end we can talk about our journals. Hey, what's up, good people? It's your girl DocSunne, and this is another episode of A DopeChick's Spiritual Journey. I have a great guest. Some of you may have seen her face before alongside my face recently, because this is my girl from high school. Yes, I said it. Look at our faces, look how young we look. Don't try to figure out
Mhm.
when we graduated. But we went to high school together, and we reconnected. And I'm so happy to have her because her journey is, I don't even think 30 minutes is really enough to talk about her amazing journey. But you know how what I do. I like my guests to introduce themselves. So, Linda, tell the good people who you are.
I am Linda Cheung. I am kind of a jack of all trades. I do a little bit of fashion design, graphic design. I'm a multimedia artist. I'm a single mom of two kids, divorced, and I'm, the founder and owner of Art and Hustle. And I've curated some art shows. Now I've gone into the podcasting world where I want to talk about the art of living. And I feel like every story will help and every story will heal. And that's how me and Sunne-Ryse got connected, where I saw you on Facebook and I was like, I love your energy.
She did.
And, if you would be so kind to join me on my podcast. And this is how it's all evolved now. Now we do our weekly inspiring conversations. So I'm so happy to be here with you today on
I
your
know we're
podcast.
like cross pollinating. Yay!
Yep. I mean, I love it because you have written your book and I was doing the podcast. And so since we connected, I was like, Sunne-Ryse, you got to do your podcast. I'm like, just do it,
Yes.
just jump in, right?
Yes. So for those who don't know, yes, I had this idea and it was stewing, and I may have recorded one thing during the pandemic. And then when I connected with Linda, Linda was like, just do it.
Do it, just
Those are
do it.
her exact words. She was like, just do it. She said, stop thinking about it. Stop
Mhm.
overthinking it. She said, just press record and
Mhm.
just do it.
Yeah.
And so that first episode that everyone loves with Tenora from season one, that would have never happened had it not been for my girl Linda. So I'm so glad that she is on my side of the
Mhm.
podcast to share her journey, mainly because everyone knows I do this show because I want people to feel comfortable in their relationship with a higher power. For me, I call it God. Whoever and whomever you are, I want people to feel connected to something bigger. And
Yeah.
so I love having these conversations with people with different journeys.
Yeah.
So I'll start with my first question, which I love to ask my guests, Linda. When you hear the word divinity or divine, what comes to mind for you?
I want to feel like it's hope and it's
Mm.
purpose and it's spirituality. So I've always said, like, I never really wanted to call it just one name, because I feel like all religion is should be all encompassing. So whatever you want to call it, whatever someone believes in, Buddhism or whatever, I feel like we're all trying to obtain the same thing, where we're all feeling, where we want to be in touch with something, a spirituality, a
Yeah.
divine, your gut instinct, so your intuition,
Mm.
whatever it is. I feel like that's what divinity is. It's all of us. It's all encompassing. So I feel like it's a little bit of everything. And it's also like our purpose and of our authenticity. So
Yeah.
if we can all be more authentic with our purpose and our intentions, and to be in a space of who we are, mind, body, and soul, if we
Love
can be
that.
connected, then we'll be able to be more authentic, sit here with you, and to be who we are. So then there's less conflict around in the world, you
Yeah.
know?
When were you, so I know your childhood.
Yeah.
I know, a lot of your upbringing. Do you ever recall at an early age being connected to something higher than yourself? And if so, what was it?
I feel like when I was younger, I always had this like innate hope. I always knew that there was something
Mm.
better for me. So with my upbringing, like, it was very traumatic. I grew up in a very abusive, mentally, physically, sexually abusive home, where there was like, it's very militant. It was like a prison.
Mhm.
And it happened, it was like majority of my childhood, from age 5 to like sophomore in high school, like that constant abuse
Mhm.
was always there. So, but I always knew that there was hope. So I just grasped onto that. So I just knew that there was something out there that was better for me, and there was definitely a different purpose for me, because I'm so thankful still to this day, where technically my dad tried to kill me at age like 5 years old, So there's a purpose for me to be here. And I feel like my purpose is now more to talk on these podcasts and to tell my story, so someone else who's listening to it and who knew me in high school would
Mhm.
never have known that, oh my God, Linda went through such a traumatic childhood with all that abuse, and she came to school and just put a mask on and put this avatar on. Nobody would know that I was going through all of that stuff. So I want to be able to tell my story so other people would hear it and be like, well, if she can go through all of that, then I can go through whatever struggles I'm going through as well.
Mm. Just, I always get chills when I hear something. I'm sure my listeners and viewers are like, their mouths are wide open, like, what did she say?
Mhm.
Like, how, oh my God, how, I know how, but like, what was the journey for you from 5
Mhm.
to now where you are, to
Yeah.
be able to open your mouth?
Yeah.
Oh my God. And talk the way that you're talking now.
Well, that's perfect that we're saying this, because when we had just started talking about, I don't know when we started talking, but one of the main things that I wanted to do is to stop crying when I would talk about my story. So the fact that I can be on here with you and tell my story and not just burst into tears is a huge accomplishment for me. And also, everybody needs to know I'm not a talker. I'm very shy. I'm very introverted. And I don't know how to talk to people. I don't know how to interview people. So the fact that I started a podcast to put myself on camera, to be exposed, and to do my art and put that on social media to be exposed is a huge thing, because you're putting your soul out
Yeah.
there. Each piece of artwork that I do is like my soul and my spirits and my feelings, all of it on your canvas that I make and do and give to people. So, it's, you're putting yourself all out there. So for me to be here today to tell you my story, and eventually, Sunrise is going to help me, write my book too, because
Yes.
it's great, is a huge accomplishment, because I was so shy in high school and so shy to even talk about my story, because it's a really hard story to tell. And it's something that needs to be put out there, just so I could have my healing and I could help heal somebody else, that somebody would hear it and be able
Mhm.
to, get through what they're going through. But from age 5 to now, like, you kind of, I had to disconnect my mind and my body. For me
Oof.
to get through my life, I had to disconnect my mind and my body. And I only woke up from that when my mom passed away in 2013.
So before you talk about your mom passing away, when you say you disconnected your mind from your body, like
Mhm.
what does that mean? Like
I had to kill myself off.
your feelings, your emotions, you mean?
Yeah. My feelings, my emotions, and yeah, you have to disconnect because if you're going through physical, sexual abuse, you're
Mm.
literally killing yourself off so you can like not
Make
like you go
not make up, not create something up here that's attached to what's going
yeah,
here.
you kind of I think you kind of black out. You know, like if you're going through a traumatic like life or death or accident or something like that, when you're going through something so traumatic where you almost die, like people
Yes.
don't remember that. So you
Mm.
literally just black out. So like my memory from childhood is so I have bad memory. I've blocked out so much stuff that I literally my mind to help save me blocked out
Mm.
a lot of it.
So I cut you off. So I'm sorry, but I wanted, I'm sure listeners were like, what does she mean by that? So
Yeah.
for all that time, you kind of disconnected your mind from your body, and then you said your mom passed away.
Yeah. So like I had to create this mask, you know, from childhood to high school and throughout my entire life. So even though my house was so militant in a prison, they still were forcing like it was an immigrant family. So everyone had to be like had to get straight A pluses. So if you didn't get straight A pluses, you weren't really accepted in your family. So you had to be assimilate and be
Being
like,
an academic, like
yeah,
a scholar. Hmm.
do all of that, and you have to assimilate to the American dream and be in the community and all of that. So it was really difficult to be able to juggle all those different faces and facades from all of that. Like, so when you're having that avatar, you're just going through life, you're going through the motions, you're going through all the check boxes. I always felt like I had to go through all the check boxes of things I had to accomplish. I had to go to good school, graduate with great grades, get a great job, get married, have kids, have the white picket fence with the house. You had to check mark all those things. And I was always like trying to get out of my house. So me getting out of my house was like, okay, I'm gonna get out of my house, I'm gonna be happy. I'm gonna go to college, I'm gonna be happy. I'm gonna find a husband, I'm gonna be happy. Like I thought that every single thing that I would check off that I would find my happiness. But then you realize after all of those things, you're still not happy. So when she passed away in 2013, I've always said this where her death was my rebirth, So
Wow.
she gave me the voice that she never had
Oh,
because I was living her generational trauma,
oh,
all of it.
that is so
So
crazy.
like my entire trip to China was a very spiritual journey in its own because if I was never connected to my mind and body, I could never really sense those intuitions and those gut feelings very often to like tap into it. So as when she died, when I was in China, like I think my eyes got open, or maybe she gave me her gifts or her
Yeah.
passing, like I felt it, right? So like I in China, like when she passed away, um that night when we were leaving her body,
Hmm.
and we walked by this like little like shed, and literally I told you before, like I felt like this entity, this person that came out felt like the devil to me. I was like, I don't like his energy. He just came
Yeah.
out from this doorway, this really dark doorway, and we were walking down the street. I was like, I don't like his energy. And usually like I wasn't in touch with my spirituality then. So
Wow.
for me to feel that and say it, and I was like,
That had to like be real, almost like
yeah,
something like hitting you like a Mack truck.
yeah, like I was like, I don't like his energy. It seems bad. It seems like the devil. And so he's speaking Chinese. So I only speak a little bit of Chinese. So I'm like listening to his energy, watching him, and I don't hear everything they're talking about, but I know like you can't tell people from another country that you're from the US because then they're gonna blackmail you, they're gonna figure out how to steal your money, all this. So when my
Yeah.
dad told him we're from the US, I was like, oh no, this is not gonna be good. So he ended up to be a funeral like director, curator, or whatever you want, agent, like a funeral agent.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was, so he was literally going to help us, you know, do our funeral with my mom and do all the things that we need to do. But I never had good feelings about this, right? And he started doing weird, shady things of like asking for someone's passport to hold on to it because he needed it for
What?
something. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
no.
I was like, oh no, that's not good. But then they got their passport back. Fast forward, I went to the US to start doing the funeral arrangements in the US for my mom. When my brother and dad came out, I was like, so anything happened with that guy? And he's like, yeah, he blackmailed the family. He blackmailed the family, held my mom's ashes for ransom for money. So those feelings I had were so
On
true,
point.
on point, like totally on point. So that's when that's when it started for me to like start listening to my gut, my intuition, and
Yes.
tapping into more of like spirituality of like sitting in my body and connecting the two of my mind and body as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, oh my, I have so many questions. So, like, when you have that initial experience, were you, because you said, you just said it, like, I don't like that person's
Yeah.
energy. But
Yeah.
it was like the first time that that really, that
Yeah.
you really paid attention to it.
Hmm.
How did you feel about it? Like, was it weird? Like, what
Mm.
was that? Was it, or was it instinctual for you just to jump in and be like,
Yeah.
something's wrong with him?
Yeah.
I don't like that.
It was very instinctual where as soon as he walked out, I just felt it. And I was like, I don't like his energy. And I started to accept all of these little feelings I would get. Like other
Yeah.
little things would happen in China. Like a funny thing is like, because I'm the youngest of my family. So and a woman in Asian traditional family, you're not really respected and you're kind of looked down upon of like, you're like lower than male.
Yeah.
So I was with my brother in China with my dad. So what was happening? Oh, we went to the hotel room and my brother has no heat on, and we're in like winter in China, 2 days after Christmas. So I'm like, it's cold in China. So I looked at my brother. I'm like, why don't you have the heat on? And he's like, oh, they don't have heat. It's just an air conditioner. And I'm like, what? No, I don't believe you. So he went to take a shower, and I looked up there, and I'm like, let me just press some buttons, right? And I just pressed it, and the heat turned on. So like my instincts, intuition of like clicking in started clicking in more. And then there was another thing was happening where their car, like the battery kept going off. And I'm like, we can't be driving around with this battery just running off all the time,
Right.
right? So I'm like, let's open the hood, let's figure it out. I'm like, well, that looks like a horn. How about we just disconnect that one? I'm like, all right. So like I started to get respect from them as I was there too, which was like a nice
Wow.
evolution of our relationship too. So
Hmm.
the instincts and then seeing that guy and then my instincts being correct, like those started making me start believing in myself more
Yeah.
from her death. Because also when she passed away, like something just kept telling me, Linda, you need to get back to your art. Linda, you need to do big art. Like I just kept having this voice tell me, you need to do big art. You need to just, get back to your
Yeah.
art. Being a mother, like you lose yourself. So I lost my artistic, outlet for such a long
Yes.
period of time. So when I got back to my art, I actually found my voice through my art first, because being an artist, I kind of can do a little bit of everything,
Right.
but it wasn't like mine. It wasn't like my voice. Certain artists have certain techniques, and I
Hmm.
didn't find my technique yet. But when I decided to just do art for the sake of art, for my mourning process, for my intuition, for my feelings and soul, like I just poured it out onto the canvas. Whatever I wanted to do, I just did it, and I didn't try to make it look like anything. I didn't try to be like anybody else. I was just trying to just be me and
Yeah.
express myself, and the grieving and mourning process of her death.
Do you feel like, do you feel like you're channeling, or that, like, that divine divinity is working through you when you're doing your art? Like, does that happen for you?
I feel like when you're doing your purpose, time disappears.
Mm,
So when you're doing something
that's
that
good.
you love, like when you love it, like this podcast,
Yes. Yes.
when you're doing these podcasts, like it's just so fun and you love it. So time disappears. So like that's your purpose and your divinity and all of it. And it
Yeah.
just comes through you because, like, you're not trying to purposely do anything. You're not forcing anything. It just flows.
Hmm.
And
I
so when
agree.
I was doing my art and just doing it for me, I wasn't trying to please anybody anymore. I wasn't trying to like be like the perfect child, the good girl,
To
and
get
to
off the
make
do the
money.
to check
Yeah,
boxes or anything.
no, yeah, I was just doing it for me. So when I did it for me, that was when I actually started my Instagram. I was like, should I be Linda L. Cheung or should I be another name under it? Because I always was like hiding behind, like in high school, a vice president, I would hide behind little things. Like I would always be the supporting cast. I never was the one in the front. So when I did my art, I was like, I think I'm just gonna have to put myself out there. I'm just gonna be me. Linda L. Cheung. So that was the start of my voice, is through the art. And if you didn't like it, that's okay because I did it for myself. So
Yeah.
if you resonate with it, if you like it, great. But it's okay because I did it for myself.
How or what would you tell anyone about the healing process from the trauma that you experienced?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and how, spirituality, connection, following your intuition, your gut, your spirit, how all of that helped you in the healing process.
I think, I mean, one of the main things, I think all of it is all encompassing where you have to get to the point where you just got to speak your truth and you have to like push yourself past those humps and those uncomfortableness, you know?
Yeah.
So like one of the most therapeutic things that I have gone through is COVID. Like COVID saved my life. You know, had COVID not happened, I would have never been able to reset myself because I would always just keep checking those boxes and keep pushing myself forward. So I would have my
Yeah.
9 to 5 job, then I would have a side business that I would do on Etsy, then I would do another side project for somebody else, then I would have my 2 kids, and I was just running on 1,000 miles an hour. But I wasn't paying attention to like my health. I wasn't paying attention to being present. I was just trying to like bulldoze all of my career goals, you
Yeah.
know? So, COVID helped me stop myself, reset myself, and figure out like, what should I be doing? Like, do I keep going on a hamster wheel of all of these things and going after the money of corporate world? But corporate world doesn't give a shit about you, you know? You're just a number to them. So I realized from that and that healing, letting that go, letting that money go, and then invest on myself. So
Yeah.
I started like an Airbnb business, and that's given me the gift of time more to be able to ultimately. I started the podcast because my partner before was like, well, you met all these great people doing the Art Hustle, art shows and art, curated these. And I was like, you know what? Yeah. Like I originally wanted to do a Netflix documentary of all the people that I met and how I started Art and Hustle. But obviously that's a daunting task of its own. So I'm like, okay, he's like, well, just do a podcast. And I
Mm.
always thought that I would do it with him because, me, like, I'm kind of like, oh, I could do it with somebody else. Like, I didn't want to be the front person. And he was like, no, like, this is your baby. You need to shine here and you should do it. So I had to really push myself out of my comfort zone to get on camera because it's really weird seeing yourself on camera. And it's really weird
It
to hear
is.
your voice on camera too.
Yes, it
And
is.
I've always told people like this has become my therapy where I didn't start to like myself and fully embrace who I am till I sat on the couch, edited my video, and put it on the smart TV and then watched it at like an outer body experience where I'm like,
Mm.
you're not going to like whatever first few that you do or the 10 that you do, but
Yeah.
eventually I start to like what I say and I started to like who I was and the person that I was turning into.
Mm.
We're like, oh, I kind of like what I'm saying there. Oh, I'm not that bad,
Yeah.
so it's been a beautiful healing process.
How did the first time you telling your story, you hearing yourself say it, like, do you know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
different, like you're talking to someone and you're hearing it internally
Yeah.
as opposed to now watching yourself and hearing it externally.
Yeah, it's really, really strange. It's really strange because I go back to a couple of my podcasts where my friends interviewed me and I'm literally like sweating to death. I'm so nervous. You can see me glistening. And I tell people exactly how I'm feeling. Like my first podcast was in my bedroom because that's where I was comfortable. And I was like, well, I'm not going to worry about the backdrop, the lights. It's going to look like whatever. I'm just going to jump in. And I had no idea. I had my script in front of me. I'm stumbling through the words. But my girlfriend's like, well, let's just chat. We haven't talked in 10 years. Let's just talk. And I was like, I don't know how this is going to sound. And when she listened to it afterwards, she's like, Linda, sounds great. I was like, oh my God, thank God. But it's really weird. But I mean, I really recommend everybody going on one of these podcasts and doing a few of them, because you really start to see yourself, because you put this avatar out there of who you are, and you really don't see it because everybody else sees you. Everyone else thinks a certain way of you, but you might not appreciate yourself of all the things that you've done. Like I've done so much stuff, but to me, I was in survival mode. So
Yeah.
now I get to see myself now on TV and camera. So
How do one of the, for me, definitions of a dope chick, right, is the divinity part, but also this idea of prosperity.
mhm.
How do you know that you're like prospering in your process? Like what are the things you're looking for? Or
Yeah.
and maybe you don't know, maybe you only know after the fact, but how do you know that you're prospering in your process, in your journey?
I feel like one of the things, like the feedback I get from people, you know,
Mhm.
when I put these out there, the people are so receptive and so appreciative that I gave them space for them to tell me their story. And I respect it so much of like whatever story that they want to share and get out there. I think it's beautiful, because every story that you tell me, somebody else might hear it and it'll help them. So the fact that it might help somebody else or it might inspire somebody else is what I think the prosperity of it. The money hopefully eventually will come, but I feel like as long as we're helping and the purpose of it, where it's doing something for good, I'm
Yeah.
okay with that. And what I love also is like, even when we have our conversations all the time in any of our podcasts, there's always something that you help me with or I help you. And we'll
Yes.
have an aha moment of like, oh my God, I didn't know that. Okay, good. I was going to do that. Or so
Mhm.
as long as we're inspiring and helping, and that's the feedback I keep getting from people where they're really grateful that these are out there and we get, to have time to talk.
Yeah. Part of you started off with saying that like you always felt like a connection in terms of hope, right? This divinity for you meant hope. I guess I'm curious as to, with that concept of hope, right? And where do your relationships with family that either were experienced or engaged or participated in some of that trauma from your childhood,
Mhm.
where does that now fit in the whole aspect of your life, like this podcast, everything that you're doing?
Mhm.
Where do they fit, or how do they fit, even if they even fit?
I'm not I'm not really sure because it's tough, because if I'm going to speak my truth,
Mm,
not everybody wants it out there, because, growing up, in our household, everything's like, swept under the rug.
yep.
Everything's like, be quiet,
Hush,
be a good
hush.
girl, hush
Don't
everything.
don't 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 put your family business out there. That was
Yeah,
popular in my home. Mhm.
exactly. That's exactly what it was. They would say the same thing in my house. Like, don't put your business out there because you never know what can happen. And so I don't know. I'm not really sure when it does go out there, like it's going to be a shocker for a lot of people.
Mhm.
And I had to be comfortable in my own skin to be like, well, this is my truth. I'm sorry if it makes you uncomfortable, but I'm trying to live an authentic life these days.
Yes.
I'm just trying to sit in my truth, and as long as I'm not hurting anybody and this is my truth, and that's how it has to be.
Mm. So every journey is like an evolution, right? We start
Mhm.
from one place. I like to say we all start like the caterpillar. And then we have chrysalis moments, and then we emerge these butterflies, and we'll cycle through that process multiple times.
Mhm.
When you look at how far you've come from that 5-year-old that was connected to hope, but her life around her didn't feel like it reflected that to who you are now.
Yeah.
What's next for you? Like, where's the process? Where does the journey continue to go? How are you evolving
Yeah.
even more as if what you've already done wasn't amazing?
Well, I think we both know where we're going to go next is my book, my coffee table book
Yes.
that I'm
I'm
going to.
glad you're saying it and not me.
So I'm excited. I'm going to do my coffee table book, which will be possibly a series of them of my life and my journey and the stories that I have. And it's going to be like art, quotes, collaging, a little bit of everything, because that's how my life has been. I had to like put all the pieces back together of me. So it's going to be the book, and the book will hopefully inspire other people to, you know, follow their dreams, be authentic, take action, and be a bull, right? Don't be a cow, because we had that bull and cow story in one of our podcasts.
Yes. Yes.
And I love it. I want to thank you also, because when I had you on the podcast, um, things started lining up, because like I was doing a few of them, but I'm still nervous and I'm not really sure about how I'm speaking. But when we chatted on our podcast, I don't know, it all just lined up and flowed together. And I was like, I'm really not sure how I'm doing. And you're like, Linda, it sounds good to me. Like it's
Yeah.
all lining up together, and things that I would say became like, probably one of my quotes that I always say like in the podcast later on. So I want to thank you as well for inspiring me to connecting all the dots together, and that we can help each other, and that you started your podcast. And
Yes.
I'm so thankful you started yours, because now you're giving space and, time to all of these people to tell their stories.
Yeah. And that's all I want. I want people to hear another woman's journey,
Mhm.
right? A dope chick, hear her journey, right? You don't know what anyone's journey is. You have no idea.
Yeah.
And that's what removes the judgment about what divinity means to you, and how what I believe is God has like surrounded around you on your journey, right? That, and to me, that's why I do what I do, to
Yeah.
take to bring people closer together, and to help people understand we're not that far apart, but we don't, everything doesn't have to be so mystical and, above at this theological level that no one can understand. But
Yeah.
it's everyday women,
Yep,
everyday
everyday
women.
women, and you make it non-judgmental, you make it obtainable, and you make it like friendly for everyone to be able to talk about it, and feel comfortable to be
Yeah.
in their own skin. So I think it's beautiful.
Yeah. And I want people to continue to listen, like how you said, you walked out the hospital and you saw that man, and that thing just,
Mm-hmm.
I believe we all have that gift.
Yes, yes.
We're just all not listening.
Yeah, I think we all do. Even like you had it all when you were a kid. It's just that as you start growing up, it starts getting suppressed and getting suppressed. And I've said this a few times now, where I've walked past people where like, oh, I don't like their energy. I'm like, something's not right. Something's not right. Oh wait, one last story. I think so before my mom passed away, she came over here from Florida. She moved here, and her skin was like really dark, right? I'm like,
Mm,
what? I was like, Mom, this is not like Florida tan dark. Like your skin, something's wrong with your skin. I was like, what's wrong with
yeah.
you don't look right. So that was like one of the other first ones of instinctually I was feeling some energy, right? And then that's when she went to China, visit her dad, who was I think he had diabetes, and they were going to amputate his toe. And so she went to China being sick on her own, and then had liver failure and was like dying in China, right? And so we got to, so 2 days, like she was about to pass away. We got to China 2 days after Christmas, and then she died 2 days after that. So thank God we got to China, we got to see her. But the skin thing, so when I came back from China, I also saw like a relative walking down the street, and I was like, this energy in his skin doesn't look right. Something's not right. And it looked like death. Now I kind of think like that looks like death to me. Like something's not right. Your energy is off. Your skin is weird. And he died like maybe a month later.
Wow.
So like it started to I guess like when all the filters are gone, then you start connecting with your body, and then you start to feel things more. And that's where I am now, where I'm loving the space that I'm in, where I can connect my mind and body and trust those instincts and gut feelings more now. So trust those gut instincts. They're
Yes,
usually always right. They're like 99% right.
they are. They are. Even if we don't know it. And that's what I tell people. Sometimes when you trust yourself, you may not know the outcome. Sometimes you might, but
Mhm.
sometimes you might not. Either way, you still trust.
Yeah,
Either way, you still trust.
just trust.
Just trust. Thank you so much. This was
Thank
a
you.
beautiful conversation. I know for a fact that there are going to be people that hear this and have hope. And that's what I'm gonna call this episode.
Hope.
This one is hope.
It is hope. Yeah. And that's one of the things that you had said to me, I think in one of my earlier podcasts when I was speaking. You're like, sounds like hope. And I was like, that's exactly it. Because that's the one thing I always had as a kid, hope.
It's hope.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So
Beautiful. How
thank
can
you
the people,
so much.
you're welcome. How can the people find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Art and Hustle, but not with the whatever you call it, it's just Art and Hustle, spell it out. And then Linda L. Cheung, Cheung. And I'm on all social medias and YouTube, Art and Hustle, everything's Art and Hustle.
Yeah. And everybody, you can get our new collab journal. Yay.
Yeah.
It's a journal that embraces words, which I love, and phrases
Words
that
and
are
art.
powerful. Words and art. And the front of every journal are original pieces by Linda Cheung. Like, when I'm telling you they're beautiful, grab one for yourself, grab one for a loved one, start off 2023 like in that space of like, I'm ready to heal. I'm ready to make big goals. I'm ready to think of a master plan. That's one of our most popular journals,
Yep.
right? Thinking of a
And
master
doubt your doubts.
Doubt your doubts, right?
Mhm.
But grab a journal. You can check the link in my bio and at the bottom of this. And be sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and come back again. Come back again.
I love it. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I'm so appreciative. So
Oh, thank you. All right, good people. You know what I say? I love you like cook food. And I'll see you next time. Deuces, good people.
bye.
Deuces.
Melody, you have this amazing gift and quality about you that absolutely nothing gets you down. And I think that you're showing your kids and showing everybody who knows you just that, like, no matter what's thrown at you, you figure it out and you make it work, and you just keep going and you can be successful and do whatever you need to do, and you thrive. You absolutely thrive.
I like connecting with people and I like helping people.
You do. You always have. You always have. And you just have that special touch where I'm telling you, it's like you make people whole sometimes. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. You have a light. You have a light inside you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's true. And you don't. The thing that's great about you is that you don't stop yourself from giving it. And you're just awesome. And you can see it in your art.
That's awesome. That's your painting in the background.
Yeah.
That's a Linda Cheung original.
It's a Linda Cheung original, yeah.
Mine too. It's a Linda Cheung.
Oh my God. Really? Oh my God. Look, there I am. I'm
That's
coming
yours,
out.
right?
Yep, that's mine.
Oh my
That's
God.
epic.
Look at that skirt.
Too.
Yeah, I made all of it from scratch. Everything's made from scratch right here.
Oh, no, that's incredible.
Everything is made from scratch.
It looks like one of your paintings come to life.
Right?
I know, right? Full circle.
Yeah, full circle. All of this is ironic. I do all of this still now with my paintings.
And you did all the detail work too. That also.
Yeah, so I painted it, added glitter. I made that mask for her.
See, that's what put you over the edge. You did all that extra work.
Yeah, I know I won because I had to transform. So here's the thing, I was asking you to explain muslin because this was made out of muslin.
Ah.
You didn't know that?
No, I did not know that.
Oh, well, let me tell you, Anthony, like when they made my garment, they printed my garment the wrong color. So they printed it basically like my hat, all greens and camos. But my theme was a golden Buddha.
Yeah.
So my fabric was green.
Oh, no.
So this was around, I think, spring break or some break we had, and they had to reprint it for me. But here's the problem: they ran out of velvet.
Oh no! So they had to do muslin for you.
So they had no more velvet for me. So they had to print it in muslin. Muslin and muslin. Muslin. Yeah.
Muslin,
So they
yeah.
printed in muslin. And I'm looking at these people like, what do you want me to do with this muslin? Everyone has beautiful, soft velvet that looks so luxurious in these
Yeah, you got
garments.
fucking muslin.
And I have muslin. And I'm looking at this like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this shit? And
Leave it to
made
Linda
it-
to work
You made
magic.
it look like gold.
so I had to fucking paint it, add glitters, add whatever, and I made it look more luxuriously than it did. So that's why I won, because I transformed this fucking piece of paper.
Yeah, like crap fabric.
It's
into-
literally crap fabric paper to look like this that's coming up right now.
Let's do it one more time.
And then I added batting. I added
It looked amazing, Linda.
so I had to make it look like velvet. So I had to I added batting to it. So you can't really tell, right? So Anthony, you didn't know.
Oh, it looked fantastic. No, I had no idea.
See, there we go. See, I learned something new today. You learned something new. So yeah, this is muslin
That is
with,
gorgeous.
with
that
batting.
is sick.
With batting, and I wanted you to look at the kimono and not her. So that's why I made the black mask on her, because I wanted you only to
Fantastic.
see. I wanted you only to see the kimono.
And look, years later in your paintings doing similar work.
Yeah, that's kind of funny and ironic that I'm doing tons of like Buddhas and Zen.
That was like a showstopper, though. Honestly, your piece,
yeah.
it seriously took everything away. Like it was like everything is amazing, but that was like a showstopper.
Anthony, look at you.
Oh yeah, she was a tough broad.
She was so tough. There I am, my little ball gown.
Oh my god, baby Linda.
Yeah. And then just to make it to be clear, we went out for a whole week, not one day. But we didn't talk to each other the whole week. You know what I mean? Once you accepted the letter, we were both so shy and we didn't really, we were so young, but we would walk together. And then I think, after like a few walks, you were like, yeah, let's just be friends. And we've been friends ever since though.
Oh
Like
my God.
you were never mean to me. You
Yeah.
didn't dump me like, you didn't scar me or anything like that. So I appreciate that. You know what I mean?
Oh my God. See, I
Yeah.
love that you're clarifying this because I do remember the note. So
It was a good week. It was 1 week because I remember everyone else, everyone got in the way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it
Yeah.
became a whole thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why you didn't like it. That's why you got
Why?
embarrassed because
Oh.
the girls were all like, oh, and then the boys were like, oh,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And then it was too much. It was
Yeah, I
like,
Mhm.
like with actors and the, what do they call them?
Paparazzi.
It was too much.
We had too much paparazzi. It was too much pressure. I couldn't
Too
handle
much
it.
pressure.
When I used to travel all over the world and I was doing all of that good stuff, I would run into people like, no, we're on holiday now. And it's mandatory.
Yeah,
we're
like-
not allowed to keep working.
Yeah, right. Like you're not allowed to text me about work. You're not allowed to talk to me about work. I think I saw that on TV, but I didn't know if that was real.
Man, unbelievable when I started to see these things in action in real life. And then I
Wow.
would look back at my experience here and like,
Mhm.
these guys they're killing us.
It's too much.
And it's that old rat race adage, right?
Yeah.
Even if you win that race, you're still a goddamn rat.
You still lose.
How is that good for you?
No, you still lose.
We must redefine how we engage this space, how we're going to operate in this space. And that's the whole idea of dismantling things and then only building back up the things that are honest and true to you in the world you live in, and now continue forward. Leave all the other stuff that you were given. All of
One woman show, like I'm hosting it, I'm editing it, I'm
A lot of work.
promoting it, I'm social media, I'm kind of like all of it.
No, yeah. That's why my wife last night, I said, listen, you need to subscribe too. I just subscribed. You got to subscribe, the algorithm. I told her the whole spiel, you know?
Like you gotta, so
You
let's
gotta do
remind
it. You gotta
everybody,
represent.
whoever's watching this, if they can help us, click subscribe, like, share, comment, share with
Yes.
your friends, your families, because it really helps my algorithm.
I hope that you've cut that piece right there and make it your intro and your outro, because that was dope.
all of us, we all have the ability to find our own happy in our own lives, in our own space,
Yeah.
but it's never quite enough. you know, and nothing is like giving and helping others. There's no feeling like that in the entire world.
Yeah.
When you change someone else's life, when you have the ability to give to them, and just the smiles and the relief, sometimes the tears of joy, right? Just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
So when we have the ability to live our life and find happiness in our own life, and then share that with someone else or help someone else reach their happy point, just a beautiful space to occupy.
Yeah, I totally agree. And welcome to my first ever podcast.
Oh, thank you. I'm so honored to be the first one.
Yeah.
I took a job that allowed me to stay home, and it was a home job, and I was selling a motivational speakers.
Yes, I remember that.
I did that for 6 years.
Wow.
Don't do that. Don't go against what you know you love to do. I learned that, and I don't regret it, but I know that I can confidently tell artists if what speaks to you is to create and make stuff, don't give up on it for 1 second. Like,
So do you think you lost part of yourself in those 6 years?
100%, like 100%. I've been working my way back ever since.
Ever since then, yeah.
I wanted to explore, and so now I can confidently say, like, it did happen for a reason, and I have gained some sureness. Is that a word? I don't know.
Like, sure, we're artists. We can make up any word we want.
So I'm 100% sure now that I need, from my soul, you
need art, you need to be creative, you need to be into fashion or whatever it is, right? It's part of your soul.
Yeah, I need it to live. I need it to breathe. And if I can't create what I enjoy, then everything else falls apart, because I can't be my best self. So